you tell us about Sam's injury and how long he'll be out?
I think the exact amount's not known. I think probably at least 4 weeks. Sounds like it's a pretty, at least 4 weeks, I think, based off of the doctors have said.
You're gonna go on IR?
I believe so, yes.
What did you see in Matt Barkley that made him someone that you wanted some?
Matt's someone that Dan had been with him in Buffalo. We had always kind of thought could be a good guy on the roster. He obviously was somewhere else, never kind of worked out to have him here. But smart guy, tremendous worker, accurate, can run the offense quickly in that role. And but someone even in the summer we had looked at. So when the opportunity came to have someone that would go on the active roster, he seemed like a natural fit to get in here and back up PJ.
Given that Sam Darnold will be out 4 weeks, how likely would you all be in looking for another quarterback possibly on free agency?
Yeah, we would obviously explore any and all options. We're looking at everything. We expect PJ to play well. Obviously, Matt, we know is a veteran player that can come in here and learn it quickly and can help us. But there's nothing we wouldn't do. Nothing we wouldn't look at.
When you talked to Sam, was he thinking he might be able to play through it, or was it a no-brainer, like, you can't play through something like this?
You changed it just like to
When
this week.
you met with Sam after the MRI or whatever.
I think he knows that it's in his best interest to take care of this right now, and so I think we all see Sam's a really tough guy. He was willing to play today, but this is it's an incomplete fracture, so I think we caught it where it's not gonna that we can just manage it in 4 weeks and hope 4 to 6 weeks maybe and get him back. So obviously he'd love to play, but player's health comes first.
Was it something that was re-aggravated during the game, or do you know?
Yeah, I couldn't say that specifically just because I'm not a doctor. I think obviously he had the injury the week before. This was in a different spot, different pain that he had. They MRI'd it the first week. Just had a little different pain coming in on Monday, so they went in and MRI'd it. So when it happened, I don't think Sam's he took a kind of a big hit in the game, so we think it might have been that. I got elbowed in the back, but this was not something he was complaining of last week. So when it happened, I assume it was this game, but it's really not my case.
You still don't believe, as you said Monday and Sunday, I believe that the shoulder, the hit that did that did not impact his performance?
I think what I said on Monday was, when I look at the tape, I don't see him wincing or struggling to throw. I think at the end of the day, it was just some decisions. All that being said, when he plays through, when you see whether it happened in the second quarter or not, when you look at the second half, he was obviously playing through something. You know what I mean? So, he came in on Monday with that much pain. Whether it happened the week before, whether it happened that week, he's playing through something, and so playing through a lot. So I have a lot of respect for Sam. At the end of the day, Sam's such a good guy. Like he's like, hey, he wants to talk about the decision making, the quarterback play, the throw. Like he's just trying to get better and better and better. So with all players, I think everything's a factor, right? So when they're going through something, you certainly have to acknowledge it. But as I said to you guys, when I looked at him in the game, I didn't see a bunch of poorly thrown balls. I just saw some decisions we'd love to have back.
Matt, you said potentially it could have happened in the Atlanta game. I know he took a big hit at the goal line or at the 8-yard line.
Yeah, what I said was I'm in no position to say it. When I asked Sam's not saying it to me. So we saw the hit in the last game. This is something he wasn't complaining of till Monday. So I'm not going to comment for somebody else. So I've asked him, because I'm always looking at what happened, and he came in Monday sore, and sore in different areas. So we, obviously we MRI'd him after the first game. This wasn't that, we didn't see anything. We saw something else that we were dealing with that he was managing. Came in on Monday with a different pain in a different area, MRI'd it. But again, I'm not going to comment for Sam in terms of when things happen.
And I just wanted to be clear, PJ Walker would be the starter Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, also, with Brian Burns, he went down twice. The one with Mac and then at the end of the game, were those the same injuries?
Yes, same thing.
What would PJ have to show you to hold on to the starting job for the next week?
Just has to go play well this week. I don't do too much thinking ahead of that. I'm just trying to get PJ ready to go play this week. Just like last week, we're trying to get him ready to play last week if we needed him. This week, we're trying, facing a great Arizona defense, trying to get him ready for this week, and that's really it. Nothing really beyond that.
How's Brian looking for going against Cardinals?
Yeah, Brian didn't practice today, so it'll probably be a kind of an all up until Sunday type of a deal. See where he's at on Sunday. You know, knowing Brian Burns, I don't put anything past him. I mean, his ability to recover is pretty special. He's kind of like Wolverine. He kind of regenerates. You know, I mean, he's just a unbelievable athlete in person. So he puts a lot of time into recovery. So I wouldn't put anything past him, but it's gonna take a long time to see.
When you're scheming against the Cardinals, two very different quarterbacks with Colt and Kyler, how does that make that difficult?
I thought Colt went in and played awesome against the 49ers. I mean, it's really the same offense. I think you haven't gone against Cliff in college and now in the pros. I mean, he's just such a creative offensive mind, and they have such tremendous, weapons. AJ Green's outside. Hopkins is outside. There's probably nobody better. Mondale Moore's come in and made a huge impact. Kirk's made a huge impact. Now you've added in Zach Ertz. James Conner is a power back. Unfortunately, Edmonds is hurt. Benjamin, who I recruited, 100 years ago, is out there playing for them now. So they have so many weapons that really the offense is predicated on getting those guys the ball. And so obviously Kyler adds a dynamic element of running the football, both from drop back, from zone read, from scrambles. But really, when you look at their offense, it's a big play offense, throwing the ball down the field and those guys going up and getting it, and truly like a Big 12 offense, spreading you out sideline to sideline and then running the ball inside. So, whichever quarterback's in there, I think they'll do both of those. You just have to, when Kyler's out there, obviously account for a little bit more of the quarterback running. He's the fastest player I've ever seen on the field, both in college and then last year he had a long scramble, so he's a special player.
Matt, you said you would explore any and all options at quarterback. Have you all reached out to Cam Newton, or would you?
I won't get into any hypotheticals. I'll probably just talk about the guys on the roster, but we, our job is to try to win, so we're going to, talk to, evaluate and talk to whatever we think is possibly out there. But in terms of specific comments, I just talked about our team.
Is there much out there at this point?
It's kind of Scott's job to figure out what is out there. And, we've traded PJ for a long time. He has to go play well. We're playing well on defense. We're the second-ranked defense in the NFL. We have to protect the football. So we're kind of concentrating on the guys we have here, and then Scott will do a great job, and I'll support in any way in terms of looking at, other options. But really this week's kind of my focus, and PJ and then Matt obviously coming in, learning on it quickly.
Coach, can you just address Arizona's defense? They're fourth in the league right now, and even without Watts, have a lot of talent.
Yeah, JJ was playing awesome, but they have tremendous players. Chandler Jones is playing at an elite level. Buda Baker to me is a difference maker. He's one of my favorite players to watch, maybe not coach against, but watch. He's all over the field. They're an aggressive. I think Coach Joseph does a great job. They're an aggressive defense that loads the box and forces you to throw it. They're a play away from being undefeated, and so schematically they present challenges, but they also have really good players and they're fast. So we know we have quite a task ahead.
Well, this team has experienced streaks in both directions, both with bunches of wins, but the same with losses. Where do you look now to build consistency?
Yeah, we've been trying to build consistency since we got here. As I said, the team, it's a journey towards that. Like, everybody can say they want to be consistent. It's a journey, and so I'm not going to apologize that we haven't gotten to the destination early. It takes time, but that being said, I want to get to the destination now. So we're trying to build that. We're trying to assert that. And I think a concept for everyone to understand is that, for our guys to understand that it takes everybody. You can be second in the league in defense, but, the defense needs the offense needs the defense, the special teams need the offense. So we all have to play collaborative football. And so, it's something that we're working at. It's something that we're trying to get to. It's something that I truly believe once we get it done, once we are a consistent team, it'll stay there for a long time because we're trying to do it the right way. But, really at the end of the day, this game comes down to just this game, and this is a really tough matchup. This is a really good team. That being said, we have a good team, and we have guys who play well. And so what we need our best players to play their best football. We need our guys who fill roles, to do their roles at a high level. And we can't have turnovers and penalties and all the things that have kind of plagued us. And so that's the message. It's not some like, hey, change this, change that. It's just do what we're doing better. And I think some of the guys get it. It's just it's one of those things that you have to fight every day as a coach. You have to fight and fight and fight to get done, and then once it happens, it's built to last. And but we're not there yet. So that's what we're working towards, and I'd like to see it happen sooner rather than later.
I know it's next man up, I get that, but how tough is it to roll in offensive linemen seemingly by the hour at this point?
Yeah, it's not ideal, you know, but it is what it is, you know, and when a guy goes out there and plays well, you learn something more about your team. You know, having a chance to put Michael Jordan out there and he played well. I think Sam Tecklenburg went in the game. When you watch the tape, there wasn't one play where I was like, oh, Sam struggled here. Sam Tecklenburg played like an NFL center. Dennis Daly has all the ability to do it. Dennis and I sat down yesterday and watched like 4 games of his together, you know, and I learned a lot about that. He's got a lot of really good plays, and so there's just 2, 3, 4 plays a game that, you know, he has to amplify his play on. So we're in the process of building some depth at that position, because a lot of guys have had to play. It usually doesn't lead to tremendous chemistry and cohesion, especially versus defenses like we're about to play that have different looks, that will play a 4-4, that will play a 4-3, that will go to a nickel. But you know what, these guys are here for a reason. They're NFL players. They have to step up and play.
And in talking about that with Dennis, I mean, you did a similar thing a couple weeks ago with Sam, going back to the New Orleans game. How often do you do that with individual guys and really sit down one-on-one with somebody?
A lot, but probably not enough. I think that's truly what coaching is. It's one-on-one helping players get better, position coach, coordinator, or head coach. It's one-on-one as a coach listening to players, because sometimes, you know, they have perspectives that you don't hear, and it can be eye-opening. So I'd say I do it a lot, but I probably could do it better.
And I know you referenced Scott, but you also have a say in 53. What were the discussions like coming into this season as you all evaluated your backup quarterbacks and the decision to go with, at the time, Will and PJ versus maybe getting a veteran guy?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of say in those things. PJ's here because I believe in him. PJ's here because Joe believes in him. PJ's here because Scott believes in him. I think all of us believe in PJ. You can sometimes in the NFL you can get a veteran quarterback that you know can manage the game for you, and you know, can he go win a game for you? Some can. Some. I mean, every guy's different, you know. But I think we saw a guy in PJ that has a lot of ability, that can move you with his feet or with his arm. So it's hard sometimes as a backup quarterback, you go in there and you have to play. But in terms of what all the discussions were, I wouldn't do it justice going back and looking at it. I just know that we all felt pretty convicted that you know, if we needed a quarterback, he'd be the guy that we would turn to. So we're always looking to, you know, improve all positions, but with where it was, that, you know, that's where we thought would be the best, and that was just kind of the decision.
Any more?
Matt, and maybe you answered this when you answered Joe's question, but I just wanted to ask you again. You know, why would you not, you know, look at signing Cam Newton?
I think I answered that pretty well, guys. I think I answered that. I'm not going to talk hypotheticals about other people who look at everything. So
When you're considering your short-term success versus the long-term plan you're building here, how do you weigh bringing in a quarterback from the outside compared to having players in your building? What kind of challenges does that present?
it's a great question. My job is to try to win right now. Our fans aren't paying money to watch us try to win in 2 years. That being said, you're also trying to build a Super Bowl caliber team. So it's this balancing act of doing what's right long term while also trying to win at the same time. And many times those are the same thing. But you know, so if we were stunting the growth of a guy that's going to be, you know, that's going to be the guy that takes us to a Super Bowl at any position, I wouldn't do it for a short term fix. That being said, if a guy can come in and help us compete, you know, I mean, there's I think there's 4 teams in the NFL that have 6 wins or more in the NFC. Everyone else is about like us. So like, lots of teams right now in the NFL are trying to figure out how to get past 500 and have a good year and win in the second half of the year. And so part of that's injuries, so my job is to try to win. You know, I owe it to those guys in the locker room to try to win. And so all that being said, I'm just not going to do it at the expense of some like, hey, trade all our future draft picks for someone that, you know, makes everyone feel good. That's not really in play here. Right now, our quarterback went down. We're trying to put the best possible product on the field to go win. We think we have a team that can win. So I just look at it kind of in both instances, right? So sometimes it's, hey, we can get to C.J. Henderson. I think he's going to be a great player. Hey, we have a chance to go get Stephon Gilmore. He can help us win right now. Neither one stunts the other, as long as we're not, you know, stunting one for the other. And I think that's where just discipline comes in. That's why the best teams make the hardest decisions, and that's the hardest part about this job. But, you know, I always look at growth. And so like I said, I've referenced that about the defense a couple times, like, you know, we got here, you know, we were 21st in defense, last year was 18th, now we're second. We haven't quite done that on offense. It was 21st year before I got here. It was like 21st last year or 22nd, now we're 27th. So we're kind of gone a little bit like this on offense, but it's not like we've gone down 30 spots. And so no one was happy with the way we played on offense last week. I mean, fans weren't happy at the game, players on the sideline weren't happy, I wasn't happy. But, you know, there's tremendous signs of growth in a lot of areas, so we just have to amplify a little bit more on offense. So anybody that can help us win, we're gonna bring in. It's just, I'm not gonna bench Jeremy Chin for someone that I think can maybe help us for 2 games. You know, I'm gonna do what it takes long-term to build a Super Bowl champion team. And that's, Mr. Tepper hired me, he told me 2 things. He said, I want back-to-back winning seasons, I want consistency, and I wanna bring a Super Bowl here. So, none of that's easy. none of that happens overnight. But it doesn't mean we're not trying to make it happen overnight. That doesn't mean we're not trying to win this game this week. And so, you know, we have 8 games left. I expect us to go compete in every single game, try to win every single game, and whichever players can help us do that, you know, we're gonna do it.
There are those
This
who,
is the last, no, we're
Do you ever
gonna
have a
do, hey
situation
David,
that-
hold on. We're gonna do you, then we're gonna do Bash Tide, then we're gonna leave.
That belief in PJ, was it automatic with you at Temple, or did the times you doubted him, and kind of go back to some moments that kind of stood out?
Yeah, and I just wanna make sure I said, my belief in PJ here as an NFL player has nothing to do with my time at Temple. You know, when we signed PJ, there was about 5 other teams trying to get PJ to sign out of the XFL. And he just came here because A, his fiance is a school teacher here in Charlotte. That's a big part of it. And B, because I think he knew us and knew that, you know, you could get an opportunity to compete. So, that being said, I think PJ Walker's won at every level that he's been at. You know, he won in high school, won a state championship, won a championship with me in college, won in the XFL, and he's here now. And I mean, I'd ask the other players what they think, you know. So, he's a backup quarterback going to start against the number 4 ranked defense in the National Football League. That's a tall tale, but I can tell you he's not gonna not go attack it. There's nothing that's gonna be scared from PJ Walker. I mean, he's gonna go out there, he's gonna compete to fight at a high level. And I think players rally around that. So, you know, I knew him when he was 18 years old, 17 years old. He's come a long way since then. But I just, you know, I think it's important for PJ's sake, not for mine, for PJ's sake. There's no agenda there. There's no like, well, we wanted to get. I mean, I've had to cut some players that I coached in college. Every time I bring a player here that I coached in college, I know someday I'm gonna have to walk away from them. None of that is easy, so I don't do that lightly. But you know, I watched Quincy Roche get the sack fumble to win the game for the Giants the other day. I saw him. I hug a player pretty much every week from the other team that played for me. So we had a lot of good players. I only say that for PJ's sake, because PJ, I think, you know, it's a tall task, but I think PJ will go out there and play really hard.
there are those who question the timing of Darnold's injury, given the fact that he struggled, and that there were questions about whether he should be the starter going forward. What do you say about those who have questions about that, the timing of this decision or the injury?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. What do you mean in terms of question if he's actually injured?
There have been questions about the timing of this
I would be
injury in
disrespectful
general.
of me to even answer that. That kid's hurt, he's banged up. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we would lie to you guys and say someone broke something if they did. So I hope I've stood up here every week and answered every question. I think I've never misled anyone. So if people question that, then there's nothing I can do for that. So I would never do that to a player.
Matt, this is season ending for Sam, or could it be?
I don't believe so. I believe 4 weeks.